7 minutes to 9 a.m. and we continue with the issue of Hajj refunds from Hajj 2020. Now, we spoke earlier on to Sheikh Hassan Yusuf Pandey, and clear that as much as Hajj operators claim to be victims of the circumstances surrounding the pandemic and suffering as a result, the key issue here is Hujjaj. These are prospective Hujjaj. Their hard-earned money. Some of them have been saving for years and years and years. And at the end of the day, this has been a contract between the Hajj operator and the Haji, and the contract needs to be honored. Now, I'm just looking at some of the comments before we get to Shaheen Essop, where Wasima Baker says, where is the surety money you had to present to SAHUC in order to serve as a Hajj service provider? And also one from Farhana Ali that says, why didn't Al-Jim initiate going to the media? Why is it always that the Hujjaj needs to take steps? Same goes with communication to the Hujjaj. Now, there has been so much said about SAHUC by Sheikh Hassan Yusuf Pandey, and we joined on the line by Shaheen Essop, the president of the South African Hajj and Umrah Council. Shaheen, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inayat to you and to the listeners of Salam Media. Jazakallah khairan for the opportunity.
Shaheen, I'm not too sure whether you were listening to the interview I had with Sheikh Hassan Yusuf Pandey. Now, with regard to the issue of Hajj refunds, we discussed it briefly yesterday. This is a legal contract between the Hajj operator and the Haji, but just looking at the email that was sent to us by Farhana Ali, who mentioned that she has been in contact with SAHUC on a number of occasions. She has been directed to certain legal people, and as late as last night, also she mentioned the name of Yusha Tayyip. But the essence of all of this at the end of the day is what Sheikh Hassan Pandey was saying, that SAHUC is not innocent in all of this because the Hajj operators have been left alone.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I think the first thing, and let's just take two steps back, Inayat. Let's go back to January of 2020 when, Hujjaj were accredited. SAHUC met with the prospective operators or the accredited operators at that time, following our trip to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia after the protocol. We came back and we informed the operators of all the processes that need to be put into place, all the new rules that have been put into place. And one of the things that Sheikh Hassan mentioned is that we have indicated that they have erred in paying hotels across in the kingdom. We have not erred in saying that they have paid hotels in the kingdom. They have erred in not paying that money through the electronic Hajj system. And this system is a system that is basically designed and developed by the Ministry of Hajj to ensure the protection of the pilgrim's money at all times. The system was not open at the time. So if they're going directly to the hotel and securing, deposits to the hotel for rooms, should that not be their own money? I think in our interview yesterday, Inayat, you and I discussed, and I may mention in passing, operators need to have skin in the game. Where is the operator's skin in the game in this particular respect? Why is it that they have not put their own money forward as deposits, if they did not go by the electronic system and kept the Hujjaj money in trust? Because when they were accredited, these are the aspects and these are the prerequisites that they attested to and that they signed accordingly in terms of that. Now, there were 20 Hajj operators that were accredited last year. 15 of those Hajj operators, alhamdulillah, have refunded their pilgrims. 5 Hajj operators still need to do so, of which Al-Jim Al-Anwa Express is one of them. Sheikh Hassan turns around and points a finger at SAHUC and says SAHUC is not innocent in this. On what basis does he make that claim? Based on the fact that SAHUC has done whatever it needed to ensure that the protocol requirements were carried out accordingly. Number 2, to make sure that Hajj operators were aware of everything that they needed to do. Those Hajj operators went and did their own deposits from the 15 that refunded, went and took bridge financing or other financing in order to ensure that their pilgrims are refunded. Why is the shift being blamed from this one Hajj operator to SAHUC when this Hajj operator, according to the numerous amount of communiques we have from Hujjaj, where they state that, writing to Al-Jim Al-Anwa Express is like writing into a vacuum. There's no response. There's no communication. I have a WhatsApp from as recent as last week with one of the pilgrims saying that communication was last taken with them in Ramadan. We all understand that the pandemic of COVID-19 has had significant effect on the tourism and travel industry worldwide. Not only South Africa, not only Saudi Arabia, worldwide. Our Hujjaj have been very patient in this. And we have gone through great lengths in keeping the Hujjaj informed during the year, and making sure we try to bring the operators to the table. Operators that were compliant in terms of certain processes that we asked for went and sought outside funding to do what was necessary. This particular operator failed to comply with SAHUC's requirements, albeit that they gave us a breakdown of monies that they deposited into the kingdom. And we have tried, as we've mentioned, with Turco, with the Ministry of Hajj, with the Muassasa, to try and find ways to repatriate that funds. The unfortunate thing is that the economic situation in the kingdom is such that they were not able to do so from everybody in that particular regard. So when we talk about the whole process, the process that we're sitting with right now is that SAHUC has gone and done an internal disciplinary structure with the operators. None of them that are members of SAMTOA decided that they are going to present themselves to SAHUC's disciplinary, because SAMTOA, together with whoever the hierarchy is, have decided that the operators mustn't comply with SAHUC. Why is it that they are doing this and now want to point fingers at SAHUC in this particular regard? We have gone through that disciplinary. There are sureties that they have signed with SAHUC. We cannot, unfortunately, through law, call on those sureties until such time as the actual contractual parties, which means the program, goes and places civil claims against those operators. If they fail, we can then start calling on the surety once that is done. And hence we have directed people who have called us to, Yusha Tayyub, so that he could possibly guide people in that regard. I know that there are some Hujjaj that have actually, solicited Yusha's services for this particular purpose. So the concept of excussion in the legal framework is what prevents us from calling on those sureties at this point in time to refund. When Sheikh Hassan talks about, SAHUC, the hierarchy of SAHUC must try and work hand in hand, what do you think we have been trying to do in the last 18 months in Ayat? But none of them want to be forthcoming, so how can we work hand in hand? The Hujjaj have shown you, and they have indicated on the chats and on the communications, the plight that they have had with regards to obtaining answers from this particular company, and there are others as well. The unfortunate thing is that we can't shift the blame or can't shift our responsibility as an operator. If 15 had gone to find financing to refund their Hujjaj, what is wrong with the others?
Also, Shaheen, I think there were some very strong sentiments that were expressed by Sheikh Hassan Essop Pandey with regards to SAHUC, and he spoke about being oppressed, he spoke about exploitation, and also, you mentioned pointing fingers, but he's talking about why can't SAHUC help? Now, what sort of help are the operators expecting from SAHUC?
Well, the operators, the help that we have basically given is within the ambits of us going to the kingdom. Remember, we don't contract with the hotels. We don't contract with the program. We accredit the operator. The operator gets the accreditation process through us. We outline the do's and the don'ts. And when he talks about oppression and he talks about, being prejudiced in any way, I think that is something that Sheikh Hassan should take out of his head, because not only him, but every other operator is not oppressed in any way. They have to work within the confines of certain rules and requirements. And if they don't want to, then they don't have to be accredited, or they shouldn't apply for accreditation. It's as simple as that. Unfortunately, we can't have personal attacks on SAHUC and saying that SAHUC is responsible for certain things, because SAHUC has bent over, to a great extent to solicit not only the authorities in the kingdom, but the authorities in South Africa to put pressure from a political point of view to make sure that we try to get assistance. There was one very, very significant statement that was made by the Ministry of Hajj. Why did the operators pay money outside of the system? Because if the monies were paid in the system, those monies were being protected. So that in itself tells us that the operators have erred, because they knew about this. And therefore, based on that, errant action, they need to go and find breach financing to try and make good the money that they have left there, because they can then get that money back once the system opens and the credits are seen, or the credits are held with those particular hotels in the future for Umrah, for whatever, Hajj, whether they are credited in the future or not.
Well, Shaheen, Jazakallah khairan so much for that and clarifying the issue with us this morning. We wish you all the best, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khairan once again.
Yes, and before we head to the news, we have got a call on hold. We've got Brother Farad who wants to make a quick comment. Brother Farad, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yes, Brother Farad, I believe you have got a comment to make.
Just listening to the interviews this morning, we've also got money outstanding with LG. And, it's been a constant battle. And listening to the thing, I think Sheikh Hassan was just pushing the blame onto SAHUC, whereas he should have been standing up and taking account for what's been going on. We've been in constant communication. If you don't ask anything, you don't get no answers from them. And I think they're just passing the blame onto SAHUC, where it should have been a regime that's taking on the responsibility of getting back to the Hujaj and updating them what's going on.
Yes, Jazakallah khairan so much for that, and commenting on this particular issue. And you yourself impacted, you are affected. So obviously, the comments are welcome coming through from your side, Brother Farad. Jazakallah for that. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Yes, we certainly need to still follow up. I think there are just far too many issues, and what we will also endeavor to do at some point in time, possibly tomorrow, is just talk to one or two lawyers. And we know central to this has been the name of Yusha Tayyip that has been mentioned, and we will definitely look at some of the legal issues surrounding this particular matter. So we will, inshallah, tomorrow sometime, we will try and get some comment coming through from the lawyers as to what the legal standing with regards to this particular matter goes. The time is straight on 9 a.m. We're heading for the news. Tabila Duma is standing by at the Al Ansar